Hey everybody, this is AYG's Alpha Team, here with another video for the Division. This is going to be my final measure build for 1.6.1. I wanted to put this out because I don't have PTS access, so this is what I've been doing. And I want to get this out before the 1.7 came out, so let's take a look. I'm using a 4-part final measure with a 2-part high-end, well actually 1 part high-end and 1 part exotic. Just generally, I'm using my Navy MP5 and my tactical ACR. Let's get into the details. It is a very electronics-centric build with a little bit of firearms, just for the balance that I need. We're going to start right here with the chest piece. Health and exotic damage resilience. Now, because final measure comes with the set bonus 2 of exotic damage resilience, I wanted to kind of piggyback on that with a little bit more. So that way when you come across Seekers in the Dark Zone or, you know, playing Last Stand, you'll be a little bit more resilient to them. So it's going to be 1916 armor, health, and exotic damage resilience. You ideally want to have ammo capacity for your minor attribute. And before I forget, let's go over the set bonuses. 2-piece set bonus is exotic damage resilience, 25%. 3-piece set bonus is 15% protection from elites, which is, you know, always good when you're doing any PvE. And then the final measure set 4 bonus is when in range of hostile grenades or mortars, diffuses them and adds grenades to your inventory. I hate when they don't use correct grammar in these sentences. It throws me off. Can only happen once every 8 seconds. So, you know, someone throws a grenade at you, you absorb it, it goes into your inventory, and you can do it every 8 seconds. Pretty legit build, pretty legit perk to have. It's really good, and you'll see in the gameplay how good it is. For our mods, we're going with all of our mods are going to be electronics skill haste, because since we're using our electronics a lot, we want to make sure we're getting them back as soon as possible, because that's going to be crucial to the build. So all of them are electronic skill haste. Let's move on to the mask. Highest armor we can get was $9.99, so that's what we're going with. A little bit more exotic damage resilience here too. Now when I made this build, I was trying to spec all the way into exotic damage resilience, but we ended up compromising way too much and it didn't work out. Like, I could avoid Seekers, but my toughness was so low that it was just not worth it. So this is going to be the last piece of gear that we put exotic damage resilience on. And damage to elites is a good minor attribute. You could go with something else here, maybe like a burn resistance is probably what I'd recommend. And it is another electronics piece. And again, like I said, electronics and skill haste on the mods. Now, if you notice, all of our pieces except one are going to be electronics. We have 1 firearms piece. We'll go over that in a sec. Next up is going to be the Short Bow Championship knee pads. And these are super legit, and it complements it well because you're going to be absorbing grenades, so you'll be able to just kind of chuck them. It's like hot potato. You just chuck, like, as soon as you absorb them, you just chuck it right back at them. And they have less time to react. It's super fun. You'll see. Anyways, we rolled for health, disorient, bleed, and increase kill XP. Ideally, you want something like bleed, burn, and shock here. That would be the best, in my opinion, what you could use for minor attributes. But health is a really good roll. You could go skill power, but I wanted to keep my toughness around 300, so that's why we went with health right here. And all of our performance mods are going to be turret damage, because we're going to be using a turret with this build. So turret damage, electronics, and skill haste. Next up is the backpack. 1334, I got lucky and got a final measure backpack that had max armor on it, so it was really good. And this is our one piece that's going to be a firearms piece rather than electronics. Rolled for health and bleed resistance. Burn resistance I would prefer, but bleed is good too. And again, like I said, electronic skill haste, turret damage for both of these. And our high-end piece is going to be Savage Gloves. Now, because we're running such high electronics, our firearms is going to be pretty low, so we want to get the most out of it. So we're going to increase our crit chance with the Savage Gloves. We're also going to add SMG damage, crit chance, and skill haste, because we need our skills, and we need more crit chance with our weapons. And we're also, I'll explain why, because we're going to be using an SMG as well. So that's why I went with this, and that's why it's still electronics as well. You'll see in a second the weapon I'm using. Final measure holster. Now, I don't know if you've seen my caches video where I opened a bunch of caches, but I got this holster out of it. It's rolled for health, and it already came with 2 things that were 1272, and I rolled out the firearms for 1272, so it's pretty, like with the exception of the armor, it's almost perfect. The armor's a little low. The health is a little low too, but the overall stats on it are like maxed out, so that was kind of cool. I wanted to include this in the video too, because it's very rare to see all of them in 1272. And again, turret damage for the mod. Now let's go over to our weapons. We're going with a Navy MP5 with Hurried, Deadly, and Adept. Again, we want to get as much crit chance and crit damage out of these because our firearms are slow. We need to kind of have that extra boost of crit damage when we actually are hitting crits, and that's why we're using Adept, because we want to have as much critical hit chance as well. And Hurried is just it's my favorite perk to have on an SMG. It keeps you in the fight a lot faster. It's pretty awesome. And all of our mods are going to be crit chance and crit damage. We're going, you want to get 19% on all of them if you can for crit damage, but we need a little bit more crit chance too. And we'll go over those in the stats too. Good magazine with crit chance and crit damage. So we're not getting a whole lot out of the rate of fire or anything like that, but because, like I said, we're speccing so far into electronics, we need our firearms. We need something to supplement our firearms, which is why we're going with crit chance and crit damage here. And the other weapon is Enhanced ACRE. Good armor, good enemy armor damage, rolled with Deadly, Talented, and Fierce. A little bit more crit chance with that Fierce, and we're getting some more crit damage with that Deadly. The Talented perk you could roll out for something else if you wanted, but because we are running such low stamina, we can't really use some of the other perks like Self-Preserve or anything like that. So we're going with Talented, which will give us a little bit more skill power on our skills. And Sidearm I don't really use that often, so that's why I'm just using my Officer's M9A1 with Expert and Destructive. Not even unlocked talents, but I don't really use the pistol with this build at all, so that's why we're going with this. And again, before I forget, the Enhanced ACRE does have is rolled for crit chance and crit damage too. But if you can get this with a little bit more crit chance, it'd probably be more ideal. But I just had damage, so crit damage, so that's what I went with. Now over to the talents. Talents, we are going to use the Dragon Breath mod on the turret. Now the reason we're going with this is because it does more damage than the bullet turret, and it is skill based, and since our skills are so high, we want to kind of have something and another thing to supplement our damage overall against enemies. So good damage with this fire turret. It's going to work well with our electronics, the electronics part of our build. And the other thing we have is the first aid overdose. Now the reason we went with overdose is because we're not using a vigorous chest piece, so we want to have a little bit overheal to give us a little bit more, sustainability in a gunfight. And since our electronics is so high, our self-heal is over 200,000, so that's going to be really good. You pretty much get an overheal anytime you heal yourself, even if you're almost out of power, it's going to be really good. It's going to pretty much just give us 2 lives, which is always good to work out. And of course, we're going with Recovery Link because we like Recovery Link. Talents wise, this is one of the only builds I use the actual adrenaline medkit with because of the way the build is built. You are going to be pushing yourself a lot into gun battles, so you want to preemptively hit the adrenaline, hit your medkit, and then it just gives you some sustainability at the initial part of the fight, and then you can pop your overdose in the middle of the fight. Triage, kill an ally with a skill to reduce skill cooldowns by 15%. You do have a heal, so you'll be taking advantage of this a lot too. Wildfire, applying burn to any target triggers 30% chance to burn each target with a 10 meter radius. So this is, you probably already know what this is. You use your flame turret, you burn somebody, anyone else within a 10 meter radius, you have a 30% chance of burning them as well. And combat medic, use a medkit near allies to heal your group members and proxies within 20 meters by 40%. Always a good choice. Anytime you're running any kind of group, it's just a good perk to have, good talent to have. All right, now let's go over to our character. Firearm stamina, electronics, you've seen all those. Overall weapon damage, and we're on. Let's go back to the Navy MP5. Here we go. So critical chances at 41%. That doesn't include the Savage, the 7% sap with the Savage gloves. So that could be upwards of 48.5. So that'll be good. Our crit damage is at 85%. I wish it was a little bit higher. 100% would be ideal, but that's just what we got. Headshot damage is 50%. This one isn't as important on console, and that's what we're playing on, the Xbox One, so it's a little bit harder to hit headshots and be consistent with them, so it's not a big thing we should be rolling for if you're running on console, but if you are on PC, definitely try and get this perk up as well. Accuracy, 2%. Stability, we didn't spec for any of these. Range is actually pretty okay for SMG. Reload time is irrelevant because we're going to be using that hurried perk, so it'll always be 1 second pretty much anytime you're landing criticals. Reload speed bonus, 5%. That's just a good bonus to have. And none of these other ones apply. Damage to elites. So if you were going to take this to PvE, you could do some decent damage to elites with that perk. And you can also get protection from elites with the actual final measure build. Threat is irrelevant. Skill power. Skill is at 23%, kind of low, but we're not using a tech build. We're just spec'd into electronics, so considering that, it's actually pretty good. Toughness is 302. That's not bad. Health from 204. We're above 32% on our armor, which is good. Health regen is over 10,000. That's not bad either. There's that 15% protection from elites from the three-part set bonus from the final measure. Exotic damage resilience is at 45%. So if someone chucks a Seeker Mine at you, you're only going to take about half the damage from it, which is really good. Same with grenades. Grenades are considered exotic damage as well. Bleed resistance, good. Blind, burn, disorient. Burn is at 0. I really wish that was a little bit higher, but that's just what we got. That's just what we got rolled with. So the RNG gods were not kind in that respect. We're just going to have to deal with it. Same with the shock. And the rest of these are irrelevant. But that's the loadout, guys. Let's get into some gameplay right now. Got a couple of tips for you guys. Tip number 1, remember, no matter what, you're covered. What I mean by that is they won't be able to advance on you because of your turret. They won't be able to throw grenades at you because of final measure. So you're just covered. They're going to have to beat you with gunfire no matter what. And you can just keep chucking grenades at them with the short bow knee pad, so they're going to have to come at you with weapons. So right here, I'm trading with this guy. I just keep chucking grenades at him. He eventually gets me down, but not after I absorb 2 grenades and he takes some fire damage from my turret. And I was out of cover, so pretty much the only reason I went down. But that's what I mean, like, you're gonna be covered. They won't be able to advance on you. They won't be able to get you out of cover with grenades. Another example here, gotta capture the point, drop my turret down so they don't advance, start capping. The only thing he can do is throw a grenade at me. Absorb that. Turret keeps him at bay. And I'm able to cap the point. And get back right into the fight. Another example here. Inside the enemy base here in Last Stand. Doing work. Got a teammate here, he's not capping, so I got a cap. First thing I notice is Seekers are out. But since I have the exotic damage resilience, I barely take... That landed right on top of me, barely took any damage. So now I have to get him to bait out a grenade. Notice how he's not advancing off the beginning because he can't because of his Seeker. Go ahead and collect that grenade, get my turret out, immediately start capping. So I know I'm going to be covered because he can't chuck a grenade at me and he has to deal with the turret. So he has to sit there and watch me cap this point right in front of him. This is what makes the final measure good for Last Stand, in particular. Goes after my teammate, deals with the turret again. The turret takes him down. I'm able to pick my teammate up. Even though ads are coming, still covered by that turret. I don't have to worry about grenades. All good. Next tip is going to be stay aggressive. Now with this build, you want to be able to get in their face because you want them to get panicked. Because panicked players miss a lot. Panicked players throw a lot of grenades. Panicked players throw a lot of missed grenades. So this guy comes out and I just get right in his face. Don't give him a chance. to actually do any serious damage to me because it's too concerned about the turret and too concerned about me in particular. And I'm able to clean up these odds. Another example here. Whole team taking on one guy over there. All I do is push forward. Turret's out. They have to move. Keep moving forward. They take down my teammate right here. Pick him up with the super. Turret's still doing work. And just push forward. Staying aggressive is the best part you can do. The best thing you can do with this particular build. Final Measure lets you make those aggressive moves and forces them to make mistakes. A little example here in the Dark Zone. This guy tries to start something, tries to run away, meet him on, cut him off at the corner, put the turret down. He can't stay in firefight because he's got to deal with the turret and me. Tries to run away, a little too late. Clean him up. Another example right here. Put the turret out. This guy's got a shield. Put myself in cover. Now he's going to have to come over here and deal with me. In that time, I can throw out a grenade. Turret does a little bit of damage. I just clean him up.
Tactical moves can be enabled.
Staying super aggressive, best move you can do, guys. I'm going to go ahead and let these play out. There's only a few of them. I'm sorry I didn't have more footage for you, so I want to get this video out. Go ahead and take a look, and I will see you at the end of the video. There you have it, guys. Final Measure build, super aggressive, super good for PvP and PvE. Definitely give it a shot. Go ahead and leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more from rugaming.com. Also, shoot us a comment if you have any questions or you want to give us any feedback. It's always appreciated. Until then, go ahead. Game on.
Game on! Yeah, game on!